All right, what is going on, guys? The UFC president, Dana White, has announced some awesome fights. We're going to be going over all the fights he announced, including a fight I just saw on Twitter. I'm not sure if it's legitimate or not. We're going to go ahead and say it probably is a legitimate fight announcement, just not by Dana White. So starting off with the very first one, UFC London has a new main event that is Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady. Originally, it was supposed to be Jack Della Maddalena and Leon Edwards fighting. But as you'll see when we go later on in the video, JDM will be now fighting Bilal Muhammad for the welterweight title. So we'll talk about this fight first. Still a good fight. The question about this fight is, can Leon Edwards negate the grappling of Sean Brady? Leon Edwards is a decent grappler, but he's kind of like, I don't want to say he's a slow fighter, but he kind of just like, he'll just sit there and idle. He'll idle while he fights. He doesn't really like go, do. He's kind of just, he's just sitting there. He's idling. He's reacting. He's not, unless he changes his mentality going into this fight, wants to get the belt back, or at least try to get the belt back, even though he got absolutely dominated by Bilal Muhammad. This should be a good fight. Early prediction, I'm leaning Sean Brady. Maybe the striking differential is good enough, but I think Brady has gotten better since his loss to Bilal Muhammad. I think he's improved in the striking, but will it be enough to beat Leon Edwards? And can Edwards keep Sean Brady off of him with his anti-grapple? So that's the first one we're going to talk about. Another interesting one. This came out of left field. We have Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez for the undisputed featherweight title. So Dana White said in his announcement that Ilia, as soon as this fight starts, will be vacating the featherweight title and will be moving up 255 pounds. This is very weird. I could understand making this Volk Lopez for the interim featherweight title and have Ilia go up and fight Islam. But I seen tweets from Islam's manager, and it might have been a podcast clip as well, or some interview maybe, where he's saying he wants Ilia, or he thinks Ilia should fight someone in the top of the lightweight division, and not just get an immediate title shot. I think, from who he's just beat back to back, Volk by KO, Max Holloway by KO, I think he deserves to immediately challenge for that belt, but I completely understand why they want him to fight someone in the top 5 of the lightweight division. People are saying that all Islam fights is beating his former featherweights, which is kind of true, funny enough. Dustin Poirier used to be a featherweight. Renato Moicano used to be a featherweight. Volkanovski is a featherweight. Who else has he beat? I wouldn't count Dan Hooker as a featherweight. He went there once, got smashed. I'm sure there's more. But it's just like some of these guys, as they grow older and they get bigger, they pause. They go up and wait. Class, that is. So very interesting fight. Excited for this fight. I'm not going to lie, though. As much as a Diego Lopez fan as I am, and I'm a big Diego Lopez fan, Mobstar kind of got pushed to the side. He deserves, in my opinion, if you just go off of who deserves it and who has fought the people and put in the work, I would say Mobstar Vloyev versus Volkanovski should have been, but this sells more. I understand why the UFC is doing it. Make the winner of this fight Mobstar next. Mobstar, I think he's done enough to just sit out and wait for a title shot. He might not want to sit out, though. He might want to fight somebody in the meantime. And then, whoever wins that fight, maybe it won't be him, can fight the winner of this fight. Maybe towards the end of the year. That would be great. Be very exciting. Super, super excited for this matchup. As far as an early prediction, this is really hard. Lopez has never went 5 rounds. Lopez has knockout power. Lopez seems to fade at the end of the 3rd round. And even a little bit before that, he slows down. Comes out strong in the 1st round. Volkanovski goes hard 5 rounds. Is good at grappling. Very good submission defense. Got out of those 2 tight submissions from Brian Ortega. Although I think Lopez is probably a better and stronger grappler than Ortega is. Definitely stronger. I mean, he knocked Ortega out and then woke him back up. So he definitely has the power advantage in this fight, no doubt. Cardio advantage is definitely going to go towards Volkanovski. Man, this is tough. If you're picking Volkanovski, you're picking him to win via decision or a late round, fourth, fifth round finish. TKO, more than likely. If you're picking Lopez, you're picking him to KO Volk in the first 2 rounds. If he doesn't KO Volk in the first 2 rounds, I do not see him winning via decision. Could he submit Volkanovski? I think it's possible. And how I would see him probably getting a submission would be some type of wrestling scramble. He gets Volk's back and gets a rear naked choke. That's how I would. But then at the same time, Volk does train with some pretty good jiu-jitsu guys. I'm going to say he doesn't submit Volkanovski either. So if Diego Lopez is going to win this fight, he's going to have to knock Volkanovski out. Can he do it? I think if he lands good on Volkanovski, he will knock him out. Yes. Volkanovski is probably the most defensively responsible fighter he has fought to this point. Lopez leaves himself open. Volkanovski will be the best competition he's ever fought in his life. Better than Mobsar. His accuracy and how on point Volkanovski is when he's fighting is top tier. But he's older. He's 35 going on 36. Back-to-back knockout losses. He's had a lot of time off. I get that. For my early prediction, I may change this. Early prediction, I'm going Volkanovski via decision. I just don't want to bank on Lopez finding the KO shot, because that's what he's going to have to do. Unless Volkanovski is so tentative on the feet and afraid of getting knocked out that he doesn't go for it, I don't see, let's say Volk and Ilia never fought. And, it went from the KO loss to Islam to whoever would have been next at the time at featherweight. It probably would have been Mobsar. Let's say he beats Mobsar and then Lopez was next in line. I would pick Volk. I wouldn't even have that in my mind, like, oh, he's washed, he's been knocked out twice. So right now I'm going Volkanovski via decision, maybe late round TKO. Moving on, co-main event. By the way, UFC 314 is absolutely stacked. Co-main event. We have Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett, 5-round co-main event. I love it when they have high-profile fights, 5 rounds, and co-main events, especially even when they're not title fights. It's great to have this 5 rounds. Paddy Pimblett's getting the toughest test of his career. Before that, he beat Bobby Green. Doesn't really mean much. Bobby Green's kind of old. He's not a complete bum. Don't get me wrong. But Michael Chandler's kind of in the same boat. I think Chandler's definitely better than Bobby Green. But he's old. He's like 37, 38 years old. He's on like a 3 or 4 fight losing streak. I can't remember how many fights he's lost. He's lost to Charles and was it Dustin? Was that it? Just a 2 fight? Because he got in the UFC, beat Hooker, then Gaethje lost. Or no. Do I have that backwards? Then Oliveira loss. Gaethje loss. Ferguson win. Okay, he's on a 2 fight losing streak. If you would have asked me this like a year or 2 ago, who do you think would win in this fight? I would definitely be picking Michael Chandler. Definitely, 100%, without a question. Without a shadow of a doubt, I'm picking Michael Chandler. I think, could he land a shot and knock out Paddy Pimblett? Yes. Paddy has his chin like this when he fights. This is how he fights. He has his chin up in the air, ready to be hit. He does have a decent chin on him. He's been dropped before, never knocked out in the UFC. I can't remember if he's been knocked out before. Never knocked out in the UFC. Undefeated in the UFC. I think he will have made improvements on the feet, be able to stand with Michael Chandler. I think he definitely has the jiu-jitsu advantage over Michael Chandler. Chandler probably has the wrestling advantage, but I think Paddy is going to be better at getting takedowns. Maybe not wrestling takedowns. Maybe he'll do some trips, stuff like that. Can Pimblett go 5 rounds? We haven't seen that yet. He doesn't seem to gas out in the fights he has had in the UFC. For my early prediction, I'm going to go Paddy Pimblett Rear naked choke. I think he's going to get the rear naked choke over Michael Chandler. Not sure what round it's going to be in. Honestly, I could see it in any round. And honestly, we kind of need some contenders at 155. I don't like, as much as Chandler's fights are entertaining to watch, if he beats Paddy Pimblett, he needs at least one more win to get a title shot. Because there's really not anybody at 155 for Islam. You had Arman, but the UFC said that, Arman has to fight somebody. So maybe Ilia Topuria? Maybe Ilia Topuria will fight Charles Oliveira? Or maybe Ilia Topuria will just fight for the title straight away. I don't know. But again, early prediction, Paddy Pimblett, rear naked choke. If we scroll up here, right here, boom. UFC 315. We have Bilal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. As soon as I saw this fight announced, I'm like, this is an easy title defense for Bilal Muhammad. My official prediction is Bilal Muhammad via decision. I think he's going to just absolutely out-grapple Sean Brady for 5 rounds. But if Bilal gives him the opportunity, Jack Della Maddalena connects, he has one-punch KO power and can put Bilal Muhammad out. So, on paper, I think this should be an easy win for Bilal. I think it should be a dominant decision win. But yes, he could get clipped and finished. If you're picking JDM, you're picking him to win via knockout. And it is possible that JDM could go in here and get the knockout, but he has very bad grappling, terrible at grappling. And Bilal is probably the best grappler in the welterweight division. So I'm going Bilal Muhammad via decision. I think this is going to be a relatively uncompetitive fight. Moving on. Co-main event. UFC 315. We have Valentina Shevchenko versus Manon Fiorot. If you've watched my videos in the past, you know my opinion on this fight. I was calling for this fight a while ago. I'm going Manon Fiorot via decision. The women's fights usually end in decision. I think Shevchenko is kind of plateaued and maybe even starting to go down in her skill. She kind of just seems to be doing the same thing every fight. She doesn't seem to be evolving anymore. Could she come out and out-grapple Manon Fiorot? Maybe. But Fiorot's strong. I mean, are we sure they test her? Is she a woman? She's strong, man. She probably beat my ass. In all our fights, like against Erin Blanchfield, Blanchfield looked like an amateur compared to her when they were fighting. She had absolutely no success in that fight. Again, this is going to be one of those things like, would it shock me if Shevchenko won? No. But I think it's going to be a very clear dominant win for Manon Fiorot. Probably doesn't get the knockout. Moving up, I believe they had yes, here we go. I wanted to go over the whole card of UFC 314. So we just went over the main and co-main event. Featured fight. You have Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull coming over from PFL, demanding to be released. Got released, signed with the UFC, but he's old. He's old. I can't pick him. He's old. If this was him a couple years ago, I would 100% pick him. Now, is it going to surprise me if he can go in here and out-grapple Yair Rodriguez? No, it will not. Rodriguez has shown in the past, multiple times, that out-grappling him is the best way to beat him. Obviously, it didn't work for Josh Emmett, but still, I'm going to go Yair Rodriguez via decision. But it would not shock me if he could get the knockout. Another fight, super excited for. Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. This is a super hard fight to pick. This is going to be Prates' biggest test in his career. As of now, I'm going to lean Carlos Prates. I need to watch some Jeff Neal fight tape. Jeff Neal is kind of like Leon Edwards a little bit. He kind of, sometimes he doesn't go for it. He kind of just coasts. He kind of idles. Kind of just does the fight. He doesn't like go. And sometimes his coach is getting in his grill about that. So this is just a stacked UFC 314. Very stacked. Cannot wait for UFC 314. I think the prelims are pretty ass, though. The early prelims. Yeah, pretty ass. But yeah, can't wait for UFC 314. Can't wait for UFC 315. Excited. Would have liked to seen Bilal Muhammad fight Shavkat Rakhmonov, but Dana White did say Rakhmonov was injured. So, Rakhmonov will sit out, heal up from his injury, fight the winner of this fight next. You're going to have next for the welterweight title, the winner of Bilal Muhammad, Jack Della Maddalena versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. Cannot wait for that fight. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of these fights? Who do you think is going to win them? Let me know down there. If you guys aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe. Try and get to 1,000 subscribers this year. Drop a like on this video. See you in the next one. Goodbye.